Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda Fletcher, and I am an English teacher at Caroline Middle School. It is my joy today to be able to talk to you about navigating social economic situations with your students and other members of this community. This is a very sensitive topic and very near and dear to my heart because I have been that student as well as that teacher trying to help others in the community. You see, growing up, my dad was a construction worker, and in those types of situations, many times you work when it's pretty outside, and you get to the winter, the jobs just stop. So that means having a steady income is a little more challenging. My parents worked very hard and they did it the best they could, but money was still tight, sometimes non existent at all. With that, trying to do your best in school, that added a lot of pressure. You see, when teachers would ask for special projects that required, you know, poster board or even a shoebox once in the day, that wasn't easy to come by for me. Not only was it going to spend money on supplies for school, but it was also driving to get them. And, sometimes we were a one car family and that car was at work. These things were stressful, but I didn't want to tell anybody. My parents were doing what they could and we were okay. But those little extras, they were hard. But then I started learning more and realized that things like this had happened all throughout history. There were always people who did not have as much access to education. I didn't notice it as much until I was in high school and things like governor's school or camps. I had the academics, but didn't have the money to participate in any of those things. Why was I so different? Or was I? Many of our students, they deal with this, they wrestle with it every single day, and a lot of them will not tell you. For the most part, when you would look at me as a student, you wouldn't notice that there was any financial strain. My parents did their best. We had clean clothes, we had school supplies, except for one year. One year, my sixth grade year. You know how you go back to school and we had the new backpack and new supplies, and this was back when we still carried books home. But you get one for the year, and that's the stuff that has to carry you through. Unfortunately, my brand new book bag, which I was really excited for, didn't last the week. In fact, the whole seam busted on the side of the backpack. But there wasn't money for another one. And back then, we needed to carry it because we had books that had to come home for school, for homework, those sorts of things. So my mom took fishing line and sewed the backpack so it was strong enough to hold what was in it. And I carried that backpack all year. That was the year I really noticed a difference. It was the year our schools consolidated into one middle school rather than being in different locations of the county. And I really noticed for the first time that I was what the community considered poor. That's okay, didn't change who I was. But then I became an adult and went back to teach in my hometown. Sitting in new teacher training, a veteran teacher was talking to new teachers and told them, don't expect too much out of the kids from this neighborhood. They're poor, their parents never show up. That neighborhood was my neighborhood. And that's how veteran teachers looked at that area. Just write the kids off. They're going to be problems. Don't expect much. And don't expect to be able to get much from the parents. And that's simply not the case. Most of the kids who don't have a lot of money, they want to do the best they can. They're trying to change their family tree. And as for their parents, they're giving the best they can. But when you work double shifts or swing shifts or just trying to put food on the table, coming to a school event at 5 o'clock in the middle of a county when sometimes you don't get home until 6, 7 o'clock or later, those aren't options. and ridiculing people for just trying to put food on the table or writing them off as they're never going to come, that that was my eye-opening moment. And I knew that that was why I was called into teaching, so that I can bring this message to you all. There are small changes we can make every day in the classroom that will not isolate children who don't have a lot of money, who that will benefit and have the parents still able to engage. And sometimes it's the smallest thing. Case in point, I keep a stack of pencils. They're open for any child who needs it, just return it. So no one has to ask, I don't have pencils today. They know the rules. They go up, they borrow the pencil, they return the pencil. Simple. Yes, I provided the pencils, and the school does provide some supplies. But that's one thing I can do, and it doesn't break the bank. One thing that as a school system we can do is meet parents where they are. It's a lot easier to get to the local church or community building that's 5 minutes from the house rather than traveling 30. And let's face it, our county is far and wide. So sometimes it is a little bit harder to get to the school that's in the, you know, one portion of the county. Some people have to travel 30 or more minutes just to get to the middle school or the high school. The elementary schools are a little bit more spaced out, but there's still some travel involved. That's also something to remember with our kids. Some of our kids are on the bus for an hour. They're tired. Their day started earlier than everybody else's. A little bit of grace goes a long way. But recognizing that everybody deserves the same chance and the same opportunities with just a few little tweaks, we can make that happen for everybody and not cause anyone to lose their dignity. I know what it feels like to be questioned and looked at funny. Also know what it feels like to be the educator and brokenhearted because you know someone has made another child feel bad because they didn't have the supplies they needed. It happens because sometimes we don't recognize the signs and see things outside of our experience. But I wanted to tell you my fishing line story because I know what those children feel like. The ones who just take the zero rather than asking a parent for a poster board. The ones who never come in with a pencil. And even the ones that sometimes wear the same sweatshirt multiple times in a week. We do what we have to do. Not ashamed of it, we're making it every day. But as educators and community members, we can help and find activities and ways to service these students that will keep us going and keep them filled with hope that they can risk learning. That's my story. That's why I joined the Education, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee, to bring the voice of those who struggle with navigating the world of social economics, having a little bit less financially than others. We can still make it. With the right people believing in you, there's so much opportunity for everyone. Thank you.